So before we introduce our speaker, we want to recognize some special guests in our audience. We would like to start with our Chancellor, Dr. Harold Martin Sr. and his wife. We would also like to acknowledge Provost Beryl McEwen and her husband.
And then we also like to acknowledge any college of engineering faculty or staff.
We would also like to recognize our corporate sponsors who are present with us tonight.
And last but not least, we would like to acknowledge our presenting sponsor this evening, Chevron.
We would now like to invite up Ms. Lauren Moore to introduce our speaker.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Lauren Moore, a fourth-year mechanical engineering student from Birmingham, Alabama, and I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker for the evening. Acacia Green is the General Manager of Information Technology for Upstream, a position she has held since January of 2018. She's responsible for leading the IT function that supports Chevron's 14 upstream strategic business units. Previously, Green was General Manager of Information Technology for Midstream, Development and Global Corporate Functions. During her tenure with Chevron, Acacia has worked in the downstream business in a variety of IT and business roles. In the central IT company of leadership positions, in the midstream businesses as IT strategy manager, in the upstream business as information technology and business development and planning manager, and in upstream Asia South business unit as general manager of information technology. Acacia was a part of the initial leadership team of Chevron's Black Employee Network and currently serves as advisory board member for Chevron's XYZ and Women's Network. She serves as the Chevron management sponsor for IT recruiting for SWE, HENAC, SHIP, and NESB. She also sits on the advisory board of the Lawrence Hall of Science. Green joined Chevron in 1991 as a programmer analyst. She earned her bachelor's degree in mathematical and computational sciences from Stanford University. Acacia and her husband Henry live in Tomball, Texas. They have a 20-year-old daughter, Jasmine, who is a junior at Wake Forest University.
Oh, okay. All right. How is everybody doing this evening? Great. Well, I would like to thank the group for inviting me, and to the dean and others in the College of Engineering for hosting me today. I was able to do a speed tour through the engineering department, and it's very impressive. You know, as you look at the theme of this year around engineers invent the amazing, and you saw that clip that we have, it is true. If you think about the things that engineers do, it is amazing. Some of it, you could say, maybe not isn't even science, you might think of it as magic. When you think about some of the stats you saw in here, 27,000 feet, you know, where we are drilling and things like that, you think, wow, what a feat. And I want to just speak with you for a few minutes from an engineering student's perspective. You know, in order to really imagine that future, you have to experience the future. And you do that through being open to many different types of experiences. And so I just want to walk you a bit through my career that I've had at Chevron to maybe give you a little bit of insight into what that looks like. Now, academics are quite important. You know, having that technical, strong foundation that you all I know are getting at this fine institution is your table stakes. But then what you do with that, how you apply it, how you experience things around you, that's kind of where the magic happens. And that's where we can invent new things. So as you heard, my academic background is mathematical and computational sciences. And so as I came into Chevron, I did what I was trained to do in the computer science area, and it was programming. But as I came in, I really opened myself up to the experiences that I was gaining as a programmer. So yes, I did my academic craft well of coding, but I went beyond that and really looked to learn what were those applications that I was building for people, what was it enabling them to do? You know, and through that, I really learned the business of the company that we have, and it really opened up for me many opportunities that I would not have thought possible when I was sitting where you are now. You know, I currently am I think this is my 5th move that I'm on, currently in Houston, Texas. I'm on my 14th job. That was nothing that I planned. I planned to have a fulfilling career. But one of the things that you do need to also, I think, embrace is change. And to be willing to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. Those uncomfortable positions are areas where maybe it's out of your academic realm, but you have to have that confidence in yourself that you can learn, and that an institution like this taught you the most important thing, and that was self-esteem, and that you are your most important asset, right? So for me, as I was looking at different roles within Chevron, I always took things that scared me a bit, that I didn't know how to do. Because for me, I knew that that's where I would learn the most. And in order for you to be able to do things like that, you have to have that confidence in yourself that you will succeed. So there are many times as I took roles, people were like, wow, are you sure about that? So the first role that I actually took, I volunteered to go into a group that many people didn't want to go into. But I really saw the type of experiences that I could get from the job. I didn't look at the downside. The downside, the reason why people didn't go into the role is that you had to carry a pager around. You get paged at 2 in the morning. But to me, I saw that as an opportunity to learn and to really hone my analytical skills, because if I'm getting paged at 2 in the morning, there's something wrong that needs to be fixed quickly. Now, from a life perspective, people also thought I was weird to do it because I literally came back from my honeymoon into that job. So you have to make sure that your career has your family, in mind. So, we had a 2-bedroom apartment, and the agreement between me and my then, new husband was, when it's your turn to carry the pager, you're in the second bedroom. See, that's how you keep a happy 25-year man. It's all about effectiveness. There's not always balance, but there is work-life effectiveness. And so that's the other thing that you have to think about, that as you think about your career is a small part of you. You want to make sure that your career fits with your life. And there are going to be things that are very central to you, and only you know what those are, what your beliefs are, things that maybe you are willing to compromise are, but those things that you are absolutely not willing to compromise are, and you should not give up those things. That should be your guiding light. So as I progressed in my career and learned more about the different, areas of computer science, and in the information technology field, there's programming, I did, business analysis, I also did some project management. There are roles that you're going to take that you may not like, but you can always learn things from those roles. For instance, you can learn that you do not like that. And so therefore, that's not the path that you want to go down. That's a very valuable lesson. The thing is that even if you don't like it, you still need to do a good job, right? And you can do a good job, and then you can think about the things that you take from there. So project management, for a while I did think I wanted to be a project manager. I went in and was managing a project, and I found out, no, that was not something that I particularly enjoyed. But there were things things that I learned from it. I learned organizational skills, I learned some kind of financial acumen, so it's really one of those skills that you're learning. The other thing that's very important is building relationships and building your network so that you understand those opportunities that are out there. And there are many different ways to build a network. It's through volunteering for different programs within the company. So like a United Way type of program, you can meet many different people out there as you're volunteering. And make no mistake about it, when you are in a corporation, even those volunteer events, you need to be professional in those. There are some people who think that, I'm at a volunteer event, if the company is sponsoring it, it's still company time. And that is a great place, again, not only for you to make connections, but also for you to make impressions, both positive and it could be negative if you're not, acting in a professional manner. So, one job actually came about because, I do sports. I still do, even though my mind thinks I can do sports, my body sometimes, but I still do it. The mind is still winding out over the body right now. But we used to play soccer during lunchtime, and I would meet people from different parts of the corporation by that because it was a very mixed group of folks. So I literally got one of my jobs from that. And just a funny story. So I'm also, I guess I'm a bit aggressive. I like to win. I don't know. It's part of a strength of mine, I guess. I don't know. It motivates and drives me. So apparently, I was, playing soccer. I believe I was in the right and going for the ball. I may or may not have thrown a hip that put somebody on the ground as I was going to score. That person may or may not have been the manager of a group and asked, who was that woman that put me on the ground? And once he was told, yes, that was a he, was told, he actually came down to my desk, and so the folks were telling him about me, and he said, what's your career aspirations? And at that point, I think I'd been working with the company about 8 or 9 years, and I didn't know what my career aspirations were. And he said, well, I hear that you've been learning my area of the business really well, and I'm looking to do something different, so I really think that you should apply for this job that's out there. And I was like, okay. And I was like, that seems weird. I'm a computer science person. I'm just going to stay in IT jobs. But here's a manager telling me maybe I should apply for this other job. And it was really, again, it was in an area where I had built applications for people. So I had built scheduling applications, and he wanted me to actually be a scheduler. And I was like, okay, I guess so. So I put my name in for it. I knew nothing. I knew about it just from the programming that I did. But that was when I was like, I don't know how to do that. What does that look like? I was like, I guess I'll put my name in. So I got the job. And so that job, I was able to be, it was called the Refined Product Scheduler for the Pacific Northwest. And so in that role there, I was responsible for making sure that all of the Pacific Northwest, so if you think of like the state of Washington and Oregon and Alaska, that they had, like all of our gas stations there, that they had the gas they needed. And so I had to schedule pipelines and vessels. In Alaska, it had to do with making sure that they had aviation gasoline there, getting it there, say like in November before the ice, froze and you couldn't get vessels, and otherwise they would have no aviation gasoline for the rest of the winter. So I did that job. Had nothing to do with my academic background, but that zig in my path taught me a lot. One of the things that it taught me was it helped me to slow down a bit, because at that point I was kind of burning out a bit at work because I was doing a lot in the IT space. I wasn't sure what area I wanted to focus in. It gave me a little perspective by being able to step back, almost like you do like when you clean your palate, and you're going for the next course in a meal. It also helped me to focus on my family more because it was a blessing that I was still young, but I know of myself, I will work myself into the ground. And it helped me to realize that I needed to have more work-life effectiveness. So it was a great job, and it did lead to one of my greatest achievements, which is my daughter. So that's, after that job, I went out on maternity leave, and when I came back, had, new mom, had perspective, then I was able to go into a role where I was able to combine both those business skills I had and the technical skills for a project where we were replacing a whole bunch of systems. We needed someone that had both of those sets to go and to work with a partner. And so it was also my first opportunity to travel outside the United States. So I wound up spending a year in Germany working with the company SAP to provide them with the specifications to build, applications in that space for us. All of that wouldn't have come about had I not been open, to change. And even going and stepping out to feeling comfortable working in a different country with an 18-month-old, a lot of that came about from, the confidence of being able to go into areas that I wasn't sure of. The other thing is as you are looking at companies to go to, you have to really understand the culture of that company and is it going to support you. And the aspect of me being able to go to Germany, as a new mom, I didn't have to choose between being a mom and being excellent in my area. The company asked me, what can I do to help you? Because at the time, my husband was pursuing something else. And they said, well, we want to support you. And what that support looked like was they paid for family members to come over and take care of my child. And so that type of support that the company gave me was, again, something where it's supporting you as a full person. And it allows you then to do your job better, which is another thing that you're not going to be able to get in that position of being able to really throw yourself into something and fully capture all of those, creative juices if you don't have your full life in order. And I was allowed to do that because I had the support of the company and of my family. And that is the other thing, that you cannot do this alone. It really does take a village. And so to be successful, behind any successful person, you are going to see a support system. And so don't think that in order for you to be successful that you have to do it by yourself. You always have to find that support system that will see you through, be your biggest cheerleaders, and also to tell you about yourself when you may be going down the wrong path. So if we fast forward into my career, going in and being able to have that experience outside of the United States, after that, then it was like, okay, we started moving around then. So I had my first move to Houston, which was back probably about 10 years or so ago. Oh, okay. As you're moving around, one of the things you do have to really understand where are you, in your life. And so for us, as we moved, we always took into context, where was our daughter in school? And was this a good time to move? How would that affect her? And sometimes, maybe I went first and the family stayed back so that she could finish where she was in her schooling. And I could kind of go out, learn the new place, and then the family could come in. So, as I, built on that technical space, there's also the different pieces of the business. And so as you work for larger corporations, there are many aspects of those corporations. And in the world that we are in now, a lot of the innovation is going to come from how do we combine things that haven't been combined in the past. And so those different experiences that you're going to have, the more that you learn those different pieces and can serve as a connector, as we were talking about earlier, those those folks that really see things that seem to be disparate, but really can be pulled together so that there's transformation that happens, you really unlock value. But again, in order to be able to do that, you have to be willing to potentially step into areas that at first you don't know anything about. So you heard in the introduction that I did a role as a business development and planning manager. That role, like I had no clue about that when that came up. That in some ways I call that my kind of do-it-yourself MBA. I pretty much in that role was responsible for managing a business unit that was a $2 billion a year business unit. While I was in that role, I helped to refresh the 20-year strategy for the business unit. As I was the planning manager, you lay out the plan, but then you also need to execute to the plan. So 3 years I was in there, we were the #1 business unit as I was the planning manager. But went in not knowing anything about that job, but I had people that worked with me. I also was not afraid to ask for help. That is not a sign of weakness. I went around to all the different parts of the business and asked them, I need to learn more about your business. So I said things like, I need drilling for dummies. I need reservoir engineering for dummies. I need facility engineering for dummies. I wasn't afraid to admit that there were areas that I did not know and that I was eager to learn those areas. It's not a sign of weakness to say that you don't know something. It is a sign of strength to put yourself in the position to learn those things. So those roles as, within the company, you also have to understand what is it that companies value. And for a company like ours, we are a multinational company, and so we really value that breadth of experience. And so when I was able to get the opportunity to then actually work and live overseas in Thailand, that really came about from the background of the many different areas that I worked and the experiences that I had gained. And then going into that role, it was how do I live and experience working outside of my home country? Because if you're going to lead groups that are multinational, you need to experience things that are kind of outside your area of experience. And so being in Thailand, so I was based in Thailand. I had responsibility for Thailand, for Cambodia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Bangladesh, and China. Got to travel around to all of those different places, and they're all very different countries. There's very different kind of socioeconomic situations that are going on, very different geopolitical situations that are going on. Now again, I haven't even mentioned any of the engineering and technical, but all of these are the things that you need to experience if you're going to be successful in a corporation. Because all of those come together, no matter what role you're in, you really need to understand the context in which that role is playing out. And the other thing from a personal standpoint, my daughter wound up doing her first 2 years of high school in Thailand. So freshman, sophomore year, we were in an international school, and then she did her second 2 years in California. I think that what she has gained from us moving around, to be honest, I was a bit nervous about this because my parents still live in the same house that I grew up in. When I go home, my bed's the same bed that I had since I was 5, That's the only home that I know. My daughter, on the other hand, has had many homes, and there was a period there because, like I said, I was not comfortable necessarily because she was growing up very different than I did, and I did not know if that was the right thing. I will never forget her senior year. She was taking a course, and she had to write an identity paper, and so I picked it up and I was reading it, and the first line of the paper said, "I am the girl from nowhere," and I was like, "Oh Lord." What have I done to my child? And so I'm like reading, I was like, I do not want to read the rest of this paper. But then she went on to talk about I moved 5 times, I went to 2 different elementary schools, went to 2 different high schools, I met lots of people. And so then towards the middle, she's like, well, but that has shaped me into the person I am. It's like, okay, it's turning around, But then she also went on to say that the moving around was also, due to my mother. And that's another thing, there is that diversity piece of the female, doing these things, the female being kind of the lead, role in the family. And she said what she learned from that was, by experiencing me doing those types of things was what it meant to be a powerful woman. So by the end of it, I was crying tears of joy. But in all seriousness, we are a global society. And so for all of you to have these experiences, to become a true citizen of the world is so important because the globe is so linked and the innovation is going to happen between those linkages. But you also have to think, I know some of this are like children and all that, and you're going to have those someday, but you also have to think about the type of career that you are creating, not only for yourself, but what that's going to do for your future family. And then the generations that it will help, to move forward. I know that I stand on the shoulders of giants. And you have to think about yourself as the giant that other people are going to stand on the shoulders of, because we have to keep paying this forward. And so as you think about, what you're doing with your education in engineering, and really, this theme as you look here of engineers inventing amazing. So not only are you currently inventing amazing, but you are standing on others that have invented, and you are inventing so others can stand on your shoulders. So thank you very much.
So Alicia, before we would like to present you with the gift on behalf of the College of Engineering.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming and sharing those words of wisdom with us tonight. So continuing on with the program, we would now like to invite up Dr. Parrish to talk about the Namaskar Award.
Good evening. I'm here to present the description of the Namaskar Award and the nominees. In looking to the future of engineering, there must be, as never before, a focus on excellence. While the number of graduates produced is important, colleges of engineering will be obliged to also concentrate on the quality of students produced. The Namaskar Foundation seeks to encourage and support North Carolina A&T State University's College of Engineering in its effort to produce graduates of superior quality. As such, it has established an award for engineering excellence and leadership. The purpose of the Namaskar Award is to provide each year a tangible recognition of a graduating senior engineering or computer science student who has excelled as a scholar and has demonstrated qualities of professionalism and leadership as an undergraduate student. This award is intended to draw attention to the importance of excellence in engineering and computer science and to encourage students to strive for excellence in their endeavors. The award will comprise a keepsake and a stipend from the Namaskar Foundation. The keepsake may be a medal, medallion, or a key, or other object suitable for display, which will be a source of identification and pride for the recipient. In addition to the keepsake, the awardee will also receive a stipend of not less than $1,000. The three areas for selection for the award are scholarship, leadership, and professionalism. At this time, I'd like to publicly thank the Namaskar Selection Committee for their service in reviewing the portfolios and interviewing each of the candidates. Dr. Chris Doss from Electrical Computer Engineering, will you stand, please, if you're here. Professor Steve One-Year from Industrial Systems Engineering. Professor Ronald Bailey from Civil and Architectural Engineering. Dr. Matthew McCullough, who could not be here, from Chemical and Bioengineering. Dr. Ed Carr as well. And lastly, Dr. Kumar from Mechanical Engineering. Thank you all for your service. Each year, the Department of Faculty and Chair nominate one student for the Namaskar Award. Nominees, as your name is called, please stand and approach the stage. This year, the nominees are Antwan Boules from Industrial Systems Engineering, Charles Carrington from Computer Science, Maximilien DeLeon from Chemical and Bioengineering, Acacia Hines from Civil and Architectural Engineering, Johnathan Lunsford from Electrical and Computer Engineering, and Talia Thomas from Mechanical Engineering. Each nominee has been asked to give 3 to 4 minute remarks about their experience as a student here at North Carolina A&T. We will begin with Antwan Boules, and once the final candidate is done, Dr. Robin Colbert, Dean for the College of Engineering, will come to the lectern and present the award to the winner of the 2019 Namaskar Award. Antwan?
Family is in always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs. The one who accepts you for who you are. The one who would do anything to see you succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Antwan Boules, and I'm honored to be here, standing in front of you, representing my department, Industrial and Systems Engineer. And today I would like to share a little bit about my story and how North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University it changed my life. But before, I would like to give thanks to God for everything He did to me and for being there for me no matter what and being the base of my life. January 2014, that was the day that I decided to move to the US. I was born and raised in Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt. I wanted to move to here. I remember actually that day I had $500 in my pocket. I wanted to move here, not seeking for financially having better money or something. I wanted to move here to have a better opportunity for me. I wanted to move here to dig deep inside and know who you are, and know exactly what I'm capable of. As all we know, United States is the land of opportunities, and that's why I was aiming for. I moved here. I started to work 3 jobs, days, nights. I was financially stable, but something inside me wasn't satisfied. Something inside me telling me that I can do something better, not just for me, for other people too. I started to dig around, started to search for what is the best for me to do. And then I came to the conclusion that I wanted to pursue a career in engineering department. In that time, I had a friend. He was studying in North Carolina A&T. I called that person and I told him, I wanted to pursue an engineering. What do you recommend? Which school you want me to go to? What school you recommend me to go to? And he said, with no doubt, North Carolina A&T. And when I asked him why, he said, because the amount of opportunity that you will get once you join the school, that people, everyone loves you, everyone trying to help you for no matter who you are or no matter what you have. They're just aiming to love you and aiming to have you as a part of the family. I made my mind. August 2015. That was the day that I joined North Carolina A&T. I was so eager to learn. I came to school, going back to class every single day. But in my mind, I have that to be a perfect student is just to have a 4.0 GPA. To be in class, to be the smartest person in that class. Until one day, two of my friends that became really close friends to me as a brothers, they sat with me and they started to tell me exactly what is life in college is. They start to sit with me and tell me about how I can be a better student, how I can market myself, how I can invest in myself more, that I can be able and capable of getting more opportunity. I remember the day before the career fair. We sat at the library at very late time. We stayed there. One of them was helping me how to building a really strong resume to apply for a job the second day. The other person was helping me to practice my elevator speech at the second day. We stayed very late. We were helping each other. For the first day that I felt like I have a family. And it's not just my blood. It's a family. We stayed that night late. We start to practice. We start to motivate each other. We start to do as best as we can. The second day in the morning before the career fair, we met again. They motivate me. We prayed. And trust me, the motivation that I received that day makes me feel like I'm going to conquer that career fair, not just to land an internship. And guess what? Second day in the morning, I landed an internship. Not just one, not just two, 3 internships. I felt so proud of myself, and I felt like I did something that it worth it, and I really wanted to spread that word among everyone. But first, one of these 2 people are here today, and I want to thank you. Thank you. He did a really great job to me, and he stand up for me. These 2 brothers showed me what his family is all about. Family is not blood. And that's what we do here in North Carolina A&T. We stand up for each other. We motivate each other. We help each other no matter who you are. We're just going to help you because you belong to here. I asked myself a question. Why? Why they cared about me? Where would I have been without their help? And the answer was just one word. It's Aggies. That's what Aggies do. That's family. That's what Aggies do. As a North Carolina A&T student here, we learned that we are family. You're not my colleague. You're not my competitor for getting a better job. You are my friend. You are my family, that I can help you. And I'm so happy to see you succeeding at the same place. The last day that changed my life and will change my life, May 2019. That was the day that I will be graduating, holding the certification in my hand and say I did it. I'm graduating from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. As an industrial and system engineer, we have a perspective that if you want to evaluate a system, you look at the system, you see the input, you see the output, and you see the change that happened to that single input. And you can judge the system. If it's a good system, the output will be tremendously good. If it's a bad system, the output will be really bad. That was me. The system represented by North Carolina A&T. The input was me 4 years ago. 0 experience, $500 in my pocket, 0 knowledge. And I'm about to be graduate May 2019 with more than 5 full-time offers from Fortune 500 companies. with a 4.0 GPA. And that is because of North Carolina A&T. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want to say thank you. I really want to, if you have a brother, if you have someone who wants to go for a school, I really recommend North Carolina A&T. And it's been the best decision that I made in my life. Thank you.
Good evening. Before I start on anything, first have to give thanks to God for direction, Jesus Christ for leading me and walking with me through this every day, and the Holy Spirit for his instruction each and every day. I also want to thank the Computer Science Department for selecting me as their nominee. It's extremely humbling, and I'm so appreciative because it's always nice to be recognized for your hard work. And lastly, I would like to thank my parents who couldn't make it, and my family who have to deal with my foolishness but are always supportive of me and all of my endeavors. Now, in a few moments, I'd like to do something a little bit different. I would actually like to talk to my peers, particularly those younger than me, maybe freshmen and juniors, sophomores. Because at this university, there are more opportunities than students, and there's an opportunity for absolutely everybody. If you want inspiration, all you have to do is look around at your peers. They're doing incredible things like interning at Fortune 50 companies, studying abroad in China. And it might look cool, but I urge you not to get confused and not to get it twisted. These experiences aren't luck, rather they are the returns on an investment of hard work, time, and suffering. See, the price of excellence is heavy, but it's those who invest the most who receive the most. The suffering is real and it is necessary. All the physical suffering of sickness and being tired all the time. Then you also have the mental stress of trying to balance all that with your schoolwork. Now, college can be a living nightmare, and if I'm honest, if college was a person, I'd punch her right in the face. But immediately after, I'd give it a great big hug, and I would say, you're pretty great, college, you're going to be best friends for the rest of my life. Because the suffering is worth it. It's strengthening you for the real world. Because the world is not your oyster, and I'm here to tell you. But at the same time, the sky is still the limit. Because God gives us all a little tiny patch, some seeds, and the tools to sow those seeds with. So if you keep your head down, focus on God and work in faith, then you will inevitably cultivate a garden and reap the fruits of your labors. Now these fruits are opportunities, and we all know the fruits have seeds. So you can plant even more fruit, and because the belly can only hold so much, you can then give your fruit and your seeds to your neighbors, so they can cultivate their own gardens. As for myself, my story, I transferred to here 3 years ago, paid my dues, and had the pleasure of graduating with a degree in computer science last December, and I've begun a master's degree program here in computer science at North Carolina A&T. So all in all, work hard, embrace this suffering, and walk in faith. You do that, and there's no telling how far you'll go. To the selection committee, thank you so much for considering me. It's an honor to stand among these great people up here who are doing such amazing things, and those who stood up here before us. I also thank all of you for taking the time to hear me. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? Good. Greetings and salutations, my fellow students, faculty, and esteemed guests. My name is Maximilien DeLeon, but people usually just call me Max. I stand here before you privileged to represent the Chemical, Biological, and Bioengineering Department as a Namaskar nominee. I still find it difficult to believe that 4 years ago, there was an 18-year-old bioengineering student from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, sitting in one of these seats at this very event. He would laugh at me if I told him he'd be standing before you today. He He'd probably even stare in disbelief after discovering that I was still studying biomedical engineering. See, I did not have a profound reason to study biomedical engineering. The truth is that it simply sounded like it had a lot of potential. I had a strong biology concentration from high school that I enjoyed, so I thought, why not mix it up a little bit? As you can probably imagine, that little bit turned into a lot. It's like as soon as I decided my major, biology, physics, mathematics, chemistry, and engineering seemed to surround the new kid on the playground as if they were trying to be bullies. But that didn't stop me. I kept trudging forward. I may not be the best word to use. Family, faculty, friends, and mentors were pushing me from behind and pulling me forward for assistance. And to this, I would like to give a gigantic thank you. Let me say that again. Thank you for all those that supported me. It's been a journey. It truly takes a village, and I could not have done this alone. One fact is indisputable. The Aggie family is a vast and large village, and with all the support that was poured into me, I want to pour it into others. Ever since I arrived on campus, I could sense the immense pride and support system here in Aggieland. As I look over my time here at A&T, I can think of 3 distinct decisions that played a huge role in my development. The first is being a part of the honors program. If I'm being honest, I entered into the program initially because of priority housing. And that basically translates to not Cooper. Little did I know that I would find a bunch of friends that would push each other to greater heights. I'm even proud to share the stage with some of them today. Anyone that knows me knows that I am an introvert at the core. In order to break out of my shell and get outside my comfort zone, I decided to do new things, mix it up a little bit more. So, my sophomore year, I became a resident assistant. And I'm not quite sure, but that first year somehow evolved into my current third year as an RA. From connecting with students, putting on programs, and expanding my creative skills, I have challenged myself to grow, and I do not plan on stopping. Lastly, the decision to accept an internship at Boston Scientific opened up my eyes. It was based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Wasn't really planning for it to be great when I initially heard, but surprises happen all the time. Through A&T, I was able to acquire an opportunity to work in the R&D research department and learn from professionals. There, I learned about a love that I had for medical devices, and I got hands-on experience and was able to change the way I felt about it. I absolutely loved this experience and fell in love with everything that I learned and the people that was at the company. After May 11th, when my peers and I gracefully walk across the stage, I will be preparing to go into a PhD bioengineering program before returning to a research and development role at whatever company I decide. After attending North Carolina Technical State University, I have been taught many lessons, allowed to meet lifelong friends, and instilled a great power called Aggie Pride. And I will always use it, forever walk with Aggie Pride in my essence, and I am forever thankful. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Acacia Hines, the Civil and Architectural Engineering Department nominee, chaired by Dr. Stephanie Luster-Teasley. Coming into A&T, I had the pleasure of joining the Home Program. The Home Program is a 6-week summer residential program where rising freshmen committed to attending the university would come to take a Calculus 1 course. Through this program has truly influenced my career path at A&T, and just me as a person, it has really poured into me. At this program, by the end of the program, I had an A in calculus, which was a success, and I expressed to my mentor that my goal upon graduating was to be better than him. Some of you may know this person is Dr. DeLeon White. So for those that know him, those are big shoes to fill. Like I said, by the end of that summer, I had come to understand what A&T could offer me as far as the opportunities that were available at this university. Some things that I have had the pleasure of taking part in are various internships and co-ops over many industries, including construction engineering, environmental engineering, transportation, as well as the oil, gas, and energy industries. I've completed research opportunities here at A&T under Dr. Elon Feeney, which is a biomaterials research where we use swine manure to make asphalt for roads. I've had the pleasure to do research at Duke University, where I studied membrane science, basically using carbon nanotubes to filter water. That's the short-term version of it. I've had the pleasure of traveling abroad with my fellow classmates to Italy, Switzerland, and Germany. And I've been able to participate in the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation program to send African American students abroad to China for a few weeks. I share these experiences not to boast, but to give you a glimpse of what Aggies truly do. Those academic experiences, coupled with the passing of my mother, truly changed my perspective. My perspective being that I had to be better than somebody to be something. What I mean by that is that through a tough grieving process, I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm thankful for that process. What I learned is that I am my only competition. My goal is to be better than myself of yesterday, and the next day to be a better version of that. This engineering program teaches you that you cannot do anything on your own. As many of my colleagues have echoed, the level of support here at this university is unwavering. The opportunities that have been afforded would not have been possible anywhere else, and I know that to be true. I have other friends that went to other universities for engineering, and their experience has not been like mine. Like I said, the level of support at this university is unmatched. The access to opportunities exist. I charge students to take advantage of the opportunities while you can. Collaborate with others, let your imagination run wild, combine your talents to create something the world has never seen. I am thankful to be here talking to you all. I don't know when the next time I will have the pleasure of addressing such a beautiful audience from my university. I know that my mother is so proud of me being up here speaking to you all, and I want to say thank you for listening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Johnathan Lunsford. I'm a senior electrical engineering student from Northern Virginia, and I have the honor of being the Namaskar nominee for the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department for the College of Engineering at the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Just being able to speak with you all today, as well as being in competition with some of the shining talent in our College of Engineering that go out their way to tackle the problems outside and inside the classroom is really humbling and it's awesome in itself. When I think about engineering or get to the fundamentals and basics, engineering is pretty much the problem solvers. As many of you know, they target and try to ask the questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how. And sometimes the how turns into days and nights, a long time, pretty much in the lab. But with that said, since I've stepped on campus in the fall of 2015 and now being in my final semester, I'm about to walk across the stage, thank God. The question that always revolved around my college experience was why. Why was the question of purpose? Why was what I found or where you find meaning behind the action? It was pretty much a cause and effect. And I had to reflect because it was part of this process. I had to submit a portfolio, and I was thinking I didn't really know why, the why behind the journey that I chose, or why I'm speaking here today, or what circumstances put me here. But as I grew, so did my whys, and as I adapted, so did my purpose. So there was a time when I asked myself, why am I speaking to you all? And to do that, I had to just go through a deep reflection. And knowing that when I stepped foot on campus, I wanted to leave A&T better than which I came, and to accept every challenge that was set in place, and to keep working until I'm an unstoppable force. But along the way of becoming an unstoppable force, you're gonna hit some immovable objects. I'm sure that some of you guys have heard that analogy or metaphor. I'm not really too sure. But it sometimes seems impossible, you know what I'm saying? You're clashing heads and you don't know which one's really gonna budge first. But engineers are the ones who think, and I feel like that's where the magic happens, in terms of you see something that won't budge, but then I don't know if some of you have seen the show. I know this NCAT class of 2022, and they're kind of young, but like Jimmy Neutron, I don't know if anyone is familiar. But in the episodes, there's a kid, big brain, really smart, who has all these issues or run into a problem, and then he'll just be like, "Our brain blast real quick," and then he'll pretty much like solve, save everyone, mission complete. And I had to think and see that like engineers are the ones that do the things that seem impossible. Like 20 years ago, who would have known smartphones and Uber and all these other things, just to name, would affect our lives like they do. And when I think about what seems impossible, I think about a quote that I heard from Steve Harvey. I'm pretty sure most of you know him as well. And he said it is impossible to think an impossible thought. And what that meant, and as I pondered upon it, he pretty much, I guess, elaborating on the principle, it means that it doesn't make anything that you can think of is possible, because otherwise you would not be able to think of it. It may not seem possible at the time, but it's not possible to think impossible thoughts, because you never know what or when or how something will happen, but the very fact that it's possible is the reason that I, as well as many other engineers, spend hours and hours formulating around the question why. Like why it doesn't work, why can't I solve it this way, why do my professors hate me, why, I'm just joking, Auntie's great, Auntie. I love Auntie. Or like, why did I do this to myself? And I feel like some of these questions, or at least for me, was kind of stem back to why did I choose to go to a HBCU to get my education and get my degree in electrical engineering. And I guess this is kind of like a good time, because February is when I was getting like decision letters around college, and I was trying to figure out where I was going to go. So about 4 years ago, I really didn't think about going to HBCU. There was going to, I would say, a predominantly a white high school or a background and things like that. That when I mentioned go to HBCU, sometimes we talk is like, oh, you might get shot type there, and I was like, oh, that's okay, that's interesting. But truth of the matter, you can get shot anywhere. And I don't know, I had to ask myself, why do I want to go to the university that continues to produce the most African American engineers? And that's true. I answered my own question, I figured it out pretty much. But really learning about the history of the A&T in itself, and learning about the people who not only are engineers that have gone to strive for more, who want to create an impact in the community, it's really inspiring. So to hit the ground running and becoming hungry to try to tackle every single target or opportunity that I could, trying to obtain an internship, trying to become the president of every organization that I could, that it seemed, it really was challenging. But I would say my friends, as I said, like the whys, you also have the why nots, the people that support you throughout your journey, the people that say, I want to I want to get a 4.0 my first semester. I want to graduate summa cum laude. I want to work at Intel. I want to work at General Electric. I want to really stress myself out in a sense, but it's because of these why not, the people that support you, that you really have time to hold each other accountable. Most of the people that I came with as a freshman, with the honors program, as well as Maximilien, are now sitting in this room as presidents of organizations such as NSBE, SWE, IEEE, pretty much the honors program president, and also, of course, fellow Namaskar nominees, and it's really inspiring to watch each other grow. Let me see. I would say it takes a lot of time, effort, patience, and even failures that I would not like to admit to remember like why I came here, or remember why the ambitions and dreams were in my head at that time. So I had to think, why do I strive? The answer for me is because I figured I'm already a target. There's already a lot of things focused around social media to where there's just a lot of negativity in the world, I guess you could say. And I feel like every single target is an opportunity to turn into a spotlight. You can flip the mark on your back to showcase not only yourself, but more than yourself, your university and your friends. And I'm not going to talk too much longer. The first speech that I ever gave on campus was when I became the president of Alpha Lambda Delta Honor Society. It was probably one of my first times ever speaking in front of a large crowd. And at that time, I finished it with, I'm going to finish this one the same way. I said that Newton's law, first law says that object in motion will stay in motion, object in rest will stay at rest. And at the time, I didn't explain anything. I just walked off, dropped the mic. It was really cool. It was a terrible idea, but at the time, I was really shaking. I really couldn't, I couldn't go on anymore. But now that I have the opportunity to kind of elaborate that, do a second chance, it really means that if you're moving forward, that you will keep moving forward. Everything, if you keep striving and keep striving, then you will continue to find opportunities that match what you want to do, your ambitions. And you're going to keep hitting objects that won't budge, but you're going to have to think first and foremost, and you will keep making progress. And thank you so much for listening to me for your time. Thank you.
Sorry guys, give me 1 second. Okay. Hey everyone, how are you? Awesome. My name is Talia, and my speech is a little different, but if you know me, you know I love to hike. And not hiking your average nature trails. No, I'm talking about like actual mountains. Like, you know, you get to the bottom and you're like, whoa, this is what we're doing, Talia? Okay. But from hiking the Rockies in Colorado to the Great Smokies of Tennessee, I found so many parallels between my hiking adventures and my life's journeys. And there's 2 rules to hiking. 1, you never look down because it puts a lot of strain on your back and your neck. And 2, you never look back because that's really not the direction that you're going, right? So along the trail, you may reach like these outlooks that are really beautiful, ones like these, where you really get a chance to stop and reflect on your journey and how far you've come. And I've realized that the ascent is rarely easy, and some trails are definitely harder than others, but the summit is always worth it. I embarked on so many trails during my tenure here at A&T, from working at MIT to build sustainable housing for people in India, and realizing that I can compete with these engineers that come from these elite institutions, to learning how to balance the lifestyle of a student athlete while managing the rigors of this engineering program, to using my sorority as a platform to shed light on issues that affect our global community, and to working on keeping my mental health in check. My ascent has been an intense but definitely worthwhile one. At a few points in time, I'm not gonna lie to you, I definitely stopped hiking. Metaphorically and physically, I lost my will to just keep moving forward. There were extremely low points, valleys that I didn't really know how to get out of. I broke the 2 rules of hiking. I stopped moving forward and I started looking back. I didn't know how to face the person I was at the time, let alone embrace who she was.
And being stuck in one of those valleys was definitely one of the scariest things that I've had to deal with. But honestly, and more importantly, figuring out how to get out of that valley was one of the most transformative life experiences that I've had. I realized that being a Black female woman is one thing, and then you throw engineering into the mix and it will present obvious challenges in our patriarchal society. It was really difficult to always feel like you had to validate yourself, improve your intelligence to not only your white counterparts, but also your Black male peers. I put so much pressure on myself to achieve and perform, and I never really asked myself, hey kid, are you good? Talia, are you truly happy? I never really stopped to appreciate those outlooks in life. So how did I start climbing again? It didn't happen overnight, but I had to revisit my why, my purpose. Because I had to ask myself, who am I to want to change the lives of others if I can't start with myself first? It took a shift in my perspective and about 1.5 years of self-reflection, but I did start climbing again. So what does my experience at A&T have to do with hiking? Everything. A&T taught me resolve. A&T taught me how to effectively allow my passions to fuel my dreams. A&T is a breeding ground for raw, unfiltered creativity and intelligence. A&T taught me how to use my voice to affect change, and it gave me the power to stand up for what I believe in and fight for those who feel powerless and voiceless. As a 17-year-old freshman, I came here thinking I could change the world. And standing here today as one of the 8 Black female graduating mechanical engineering students, I am so proud to say that I know I can change the world, because I know the only real revolution happens right inside of you. Props to J. Cole. My story is still being written, and I'm still hiking towards my summit. I'm supported by amazing friends, family and faculty that literally pour into my soul and inspire me daily. I would like to thank the Mechanical Engineering Department for this nomination and your guidance for these past 4 years. But I would especially like to thank Dr. Carmen, Dr. Arma, and Professor Powell, I'm not sure if they're here, for supporting my crazy ideas and also making me feel a little bit less crazy for having them. Thank you to my amazing friends and mentors, y'all know who you are, who pulled me out of those valleys, hold me accountable, and keep me grounded to my true self. Thank you to my amazingly supportive parents who couldn't be here. Aside from the grace of God, I would not be here without them. Their personal journeys inspire me, and they push me probably more than they ever know. They're the strongest people I know, and my parents, my little brother, and my little sister are the reasons why I still climb. The most important thing that I learned while at the T is that the only limits that exist are the ones that we place on ourselves. You are limitless just like your summits. So thank you for listening to my little spiel. I just implore everyone, no matter what uphill battle that you face, take a deep breath, get your mind right, because it's going to be hard, and attack the trail. Don't settle for hills, climb mountains. Thank you.
Wasn't that amazing? Amazing. When we listened to our guest speaker, we were reminded of how important it is that we continue to strive, continue to push, continue to grow. And yet, as you listen to our students, as young as they are, what wisdom did you hear? So you can imagine what the committee had to deal with as they had to make a decision. And so, drum roll, please. It is my honor to recognize the fact that every single one, thank you, of our Namaskar nominees are indeed amazing winners, aren't they? Can we give them all a round of applause? And so I now have the pleasure of letting you know who is our 2019 Namaskar awardee. And the winner is, this year, Talia Thomas. you know. So at the end, we'll give you all certificates, but congratulations, congratulations. At this time, I'll do it. At this time, I'm going to ask Tamara Ziegler to please come up.
Is it for me? Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the wonderful banquet and celebration of Aggie Engineering. I'm Tamara Ziegler, Director of Development and Corporate Engagement. It is my privilege to serve as a connector between many of the corporate partners that are here this evening and the phenomenal talent that resides in the College of Engineering at North Carolina A&T State University. Our wonderful corporate partners continue to go beyond the traditional recruiting and hiring role and delve into engaging with our students and faculty on a far more impactful level. Perhaps nowhere is this more evident than throughout Engineers Week. So far, this week has been full of workshops, panel discussions, and by the way, who in the room attended last night's Sexism, Racism, and Discrimination, It's a Different World panel discussion? A few hands. No, yeah, actually quite a few. Was it not impactful? Should we do it again next year? Yes. Here we go. Speed interviewing sessions today, and there is more to come. So, corporate partners, thank you for investing in the professional development of the truly great talent that matriculates through North Carolina A&T State University and the College of Engineering. And thank you for assisting the College of Engineering in fulfilling its mission of cultivating leaders who excel in academics, innovation, and research. Good job. Faculty and staff know what that was all about. As we say every year, we simply could not do what we do without the engagement of our corporate partners. This becomes more readily apparent with each passing year as the committee plans and executes Engineers Week. And by the way, thank you to this year's presenting sponsor, Chevron. A special thank you. Nicole, Jessica, and our wonderful banquet speaker, Alicia Green. It has been my distinct pleasure to work with and coordinate your engagement throughout the week. We love you. Thank you so very much. Speaking of the 2019 committee, congratulations to each of you on another successful E-Week celebration. Engineers Week continues to evolve, and your commitment and dedication to executing this event is a clear expression of your love for your university and the College of Engineering. It is indeed a privilege to work with each of you. Again, thank you everyone, and have a good evening.
Haven't our MCs done a terrific job? You know, when we were in the reception, I told you that this is, of all the events we do every year, my favorite. Now do you understand why? What can you say when you have an opportunity to be inspired by the reason why the faculty and staff of the College of Engineering at North Carolina A&T State University are here? So when we get to see our students talk about their experiences with us, there's nothing like it in terms of how it re-inspires us to continue to do what we do and do it even better and push even further. And so I may be standing up here, but all faculty, chairs, and staff of the College of Engineering, I'm going to ask you to please stand. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for the reason why you do it, and keep doing it, please. Thank you. Today we had the experience of being able to listen to Acacia Green remind us that if you're going to event the amazing, which is the theme of this year's E-Week, then all of the anchor of that is going to always be you. Because when things are changing consistently, you have to get used to the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be unease associated with it. And then we listen to our Namaskar nominees talk about that discomfort, you know? But they also said something else that also echoed what you said, which is the fact that you must have a support system when you think about who you are from what's most important to you. But you also described, Acacia Green, the support system that you have to set up on the job when you're trying to do something that no one else has done before, when you're trying to connect dots that someone hasn't thought about before. So you have to become acquainted with other people. You called it whichever department for dummies, you know, but basically it's trying to understand what people do across the company, because the disruption that is necessary requires you to think out of the box. And if you don't know what's in the box to think about, or that another box exists, it's very hard to be competitive. So our personal competitiveness and counting on ourselves to continue to push forward is ultimately the anchor that you'll be able to ride and do successfully as you do the trajectory of your career. And the whole point is that you're making a difference and that you never forget, right, that we all stand on the shoulders of someone else, and that your shoulders are the platform for which the future stands on you. And so when I listened to the Namaskar awardees, I was very much reminded of our world is in a very, very good hands, because we're building it upon your shoulders and theirs. Isn't that a great thing? It's a great thing. So whenever we watch things on the news, I, again, always say, I just have to go into the hallway, talk to some of our students. Okay, the world is in a good place. It's okay. But we really do, on behalf of the students, the faculty, and the staff of the College of Engineering, thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to spend it with us tonight. This is something that we do to celebrate who we are as engineers and computer scientists, but it's also something that we do to celebrate why the connectivity between what we do at the university and what you do at your companies and what you do in your government agencies is so critical to the world that we are creating together. So thanks for being here tonight. We hope you enjoyed yourself tonight, and thanks for spending it with us. Good night, everybody.